esteemed faculty members and a scholar. It is a matter of great honor and privilege to formally welcome our distinguished external examiner, Dr. Ravindra Kaur ma'am, professor and former chairperson at Center for Advanced Study, Department of Geography, Punjab University, Chandigarh, for her PhD, Vice Voce of Nidhi Jasrotia. Okay, Dr. Kaur ma'am is an eminent scholar in the field of geography with over 25 years of distinguished teaching and research experience. Her academic credentials are exemplary, having secured top position in her postgraduate and doctoral studies, including the University Gold Medal in Master of Arts Geography. Her areas of specialization encompasses majorly urban and regional development studies, urban and rural relation, peri-urban transformation, urban poverty, and application of GIS and remote sensing in the human geography. She has successfully supervised more than 11 doctoral scholars and has made a substantial contribution to the discipline through her authored books, high-impact research publications, and government-funded research projects. Dr. Kaur has also served in the significant academic and administrative capacities and is widely recognized as a resource person for research methodology and capacity building program under national academic bodies. Her scholarship reflects a deep commitment to advancing geographical research and policy relevant inquiries. We are sincerely grateful to her for accepting our invitation to serve as external examiner for this doctoral defense. Her presence today greatly enriched the academic rigor and integrity of the examination process. Ma'am, we extend a warm welcome and look forward for your valuable insights and scholarly guidance for the student. Over to you.
Thank you so much. And you've been so kind, in giving such a detailed resume of mine. And yes, so I am here to conduct the Viva Voce examination of Nidhi Jasrotia. And if you all allow, I will ask her to make a presentation. Nidhi, are you ready with your presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And are you ready for the presentation as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'll try.
Oh, you should. Be confident, be relaxed. You have worked hard and it's a good work. Now we need to have the presentation on it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Please start.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, other committee members. I extend my thanks to all of you to give me this opportunity to present my research today. I am Nidhi Jasrotia, a doctoral candidate of geography, and today I will be defending my thesis titled as Spatio-Temporal Analysis of Socio-Economic Impacts Induced by Big Dams, a case study of RANJIT Sagar Dam. Do you know there are about 50,000 large dams globally, and India ranks third in construction of large dams with about more than 5,300 constructed large dams and about 400 under construction. In countries like India, these dams, our government mainly rely on constructing these big water structures to meet the basic needs of food, water and clean energy for ever-growing population. Albeit these big water structures contribute significantly to different sectors like agriculture, employment, hydropower production, pollution mitigation, controlling carbon emissions. Yet these big dams come, induce a kind of adverse impacts on social as well as on physical environment. As you can see on the slide, some of the facts shown here. Some of the adverse impacts are like a large number of people are displaced, then downstream impacts, psychological changes, etc. Yet there are numerous studies which highlighted the need of incorporating the construction of these dams in wake of climatic change and to achieve the sustainable development goals. I will like to draw your kind attention towards this slide. Cannot open. Open नहीं हो रहा सर.
Escape प्रस्तुति वाला.
Shall I continue? There are some facts like about 2.6 billion people globally are without access to cooking, and 1.5 billion people don't have access to clean water. So in this scenario, many policymakers and many researchers underscore that if we efficiently manage these water structures, this can better contribute towards the sustainable developmental goals. Slide move.
Next slide.
Okay. So we have done this thematic review regarding the previous research on the topic. I hope this get only files open.
You can continue with the slide. Then you can only please slide. Sure.
Okay. It was theme-based literature review. We selected about 13 articles on different things like socioeconomic impacts of dams, then dam failure and dam safety issues, and studies on Ranjit Sagar Dam. Plethora of studies have investigated the socioeconomic analysis and socioeconomic impacts induced by these big dams. Yet there are lack of studies which specifically focus which specifically work on frameworks which deals with analyzing dam impacts. So after this review of literature, we found these research gaps. Like there are lack of empirically verified findings regarding socioeconomic impacts of Ranjit Sagar Dam. Then spatial mapping of physical resource base in the watershed of Ranjit Sagar Dam and other dams in general is under. There is absence of research regarding potential failure risks to Ranjit Sagar Dam and analyzing community perceptions regarding dam safety. Then there are limited studies which examined these impacts involving a watershed level approach and scarcity of frameworks which specifically deals with analyzing impacts of these dams and their interlinkage of geophysical factors and socio-economic impacts of large dams. So building on that background, we identified this problem that the socioeconomic impacts generated by dams are get influenced by the distribution of physical resource base in its watershed and how during after the construction of dam, during the operational phase of dam, these dam failure risks and dam safety concerns can influence the socio-economic dynamics of the region. So we identified this problem, and through this research we tried to find out the solution. So in this research, we will be focusing on studying all this mutual dynamics of physical resource distribution, then socio-economic impacts on communities, and the potential risks are factors that can lead to dam failures in integration to with each other. after solving this problem, you know, this study can significantly reduce these socioeconomic disparities, and can lead to better resource management in the watershed area of the dams. So this led us to our central research question, that how do the major socio-economic impacts vary across demographic groups in upstream and downstream region during constructional and operational phase, and how these negative impacts can be mitigated if we have sufficient knowledge about the resource in its vicinity and potential risks that ultimately influence the socioeconomic impacts. We have presented this testable some statements, like our first hypothesis. We anticipated that the mean income of two groups differs significantly. Then the second hypothesis points out the association between various demographic groups, and the third hypothesis highlights the third dimension of dams, that is community perceptions and their association with adequacy of dam safety measures. We have established these four objectives that guided our investigation. First objective is to find the physical resource base, including topography, geology, soil distribution, land use, land cover of area under study. Then to identify the major socioeconomic impacts, spatially and temporally. Then to evaluate the dam failure risk and dam safety measures. And lastly, to suggest the impact mitigation measures. In the following section, I will be discussing the framework followed by a methodological flow chart, and then it will actually be objective based methodology and study area also. So this matrix framework, our study adopted it from a previous study of Fisher and Charles 2016, and this covers different components. The main themes are livelihood, community and infrastructure, which have to be studied under different dimensions of space, covering upstream and downstream region, then time, constructional and operational phase, and the positive and negative impacts. This is the general methodological flow chart for our study. We adopted a case study research design where we applied a mix of quantitative, qualitative as well as spatial mapping techniques, remote sensing and GIS. For data collection, we have primary data that we collected through surveys, then field observations and various photographs clicked during the field visits. For secondary data, we used the satellite imageries, and we studied reports and journals and various reports from government organizations. For data processing, we used the software MS Excel and SPSS. And for spatial mapping, it is done with the help of ArcGIS and QGIS. Then data presentation is illustrated various maps, figures, graphs and tables. This is the study area map. Okay. This for our present study, we applied approach to we choose actually watershed of this RANJIT Sagar Dam as the basic unit. We considered it as a whole single system, because when a dam is constructed, it impacts the communities or impacts the region which is under its watershed. And again, during operational phase, when whenever there is flooding or there is excess release of water from the dam, it is going to impact the region which is downstream watershed of the dam. So we choose, as I earlier discussed, that previous studies have not applied this level of approach where we can, in a unifying manner, can study all these factors. As in this, previous monsoons, this whole region here we had a cloud burst in this area, and this whole Ravi river, actually the whole area got excess rainfall, and the reservoir was about to overflow. Then these engineers opened the gate without prior information. About 2.12 lakh cusecs of water was released suddenly, and in this area there was cloud burst. All these rivers got flooded, which eventually flow into the Ravi river, and due to this excess flooding, here we are having Madhopur barrage that got breached, and there was about 20 men at that time were trying to open the gates, but they fell into the river. About 3 men fell, one was dead and others were rescued, and from here this Ravi got diverted its course towards the Kathua city, and we saw flooding here, which never occurred previously. So in this scenario, and another thing is we saw the war between India and Pakistan in May, and we all know how strategically these big water structures are in wake of Indus Water Treaty. Government is focusing on no spillage of water across the international water. So in this scenario, if we want to optimally and efficiently control the operation of this big dam in Ravi river basin, we need innovative solutions or innovative technologies, so that its efficient operation and these Indus Water Treaties and all this scenario, we can sustainably hold its operations, so that what we saw it was actually a mismanagement of dam authorities, that they suddenly opened the gates. So this was actually also the main reason for choosing this as a study area. If I would like to have an overview of this dam, it is actually an interstate dam constructed on the Ravi river basin. It is the 6th largest dam in India, 6th highest dam in India, and this dam lies in two states like Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, and Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. And during its construction, about 4,153 families from all the states were displaced. In the next slide, this is objective-based methodological flowchart for objective 1, which is based on spatial mapping using remote sensing and GIS, and this to authenticate that findings. We also done various field visits where we gathered primary data. Various maps under different themes like contour map, drainage map, then soil map of the region, land use, land cover map, and vegetation map has been depicted to achieve this objective. The next flow chart is for objective 2nd, that is mainly based on the primary data collected through surveys, and here then after acquisition of data we analyzed using MS Excel for descriptive statistics and SPS for hypothesis testing, applying chi-square and t-test. This is the sampling flow chart for selecting the survey villages and sampled households. We actually applied multi-stage sampling technique so that to ensure the proper representation of all subgroups throughout the hierarchical stages. First off, we identified the most affected districts from two states, J&K and Punjab, Kathua from J&K and Pathankot from Punjab. Then under second stage, we identified the tehsils which were worst affected. Basoli, Mahanpur and Kathua tehsils from Kathua district and tehsil Dharkalan from district Pathankot. For third stage, we identified the villages on the basis of altitude and watershed, and 6 upstream villages were identified and 6 downstream villages were identified, in total 12 villages. These I can show in previous slide. This thin boundary marked here for upstream villages, and orange color show the downstream villages identified for this carrying out survey. In total, we collected data from 528 sample households. Methodological flow chart for objective third. In this section, we have applied a mixed approach based on secondary data and remote sensing. We identified various potential factors that can lead to dam failure, and then combining it with the perceptions of community regarding the dam safety issues. And one more aspect is here in this to achieve this objective, we did an analysis of about 50 dam failures in India, and on the basis of lessons learned from that analysis, we identified the various risks that can be there in case of Ranjit Sagar Dam. This is for objective 4. After identification of some negative impacts, we try to give some probable geophysical reason, causes for that, and then suggestive mitigation measures have been put in place. The next slide will be showing main findings of our study. This is about chapter 2. This map depicts the contours, slope and elevation of the region. In the upstream region, the whole region is, contours are closely spaced, and highlighting this area as hilly or mountainous. And as we go downwards, the slope is also decreasing. Here we are having the lowest elevation about 230 meters, and in this region, in the northwest direction, we are having the elevation about 2500 meters. And this region, physiographically also, this region is covered from the young Shivalik mountainous group. This region is known as locally Kandi area or Piedmont plain. And as we go further, alluvial region of this Ravi river. So we can see how these two regions, upstream and downstream, are physiographically are also very different. It can have an impact on soil. Actually, this area has very less water retention capacity that leads to flooding from time to time whenever there is excess rainfall in the region. and this soil is actually very fertile in this area. So this contributes to many agricultural activities in the region. This shows the drainage map. The drainage pattern is dendritic in the region, and it confirms the homogeneity of geological properties also. All these local streams are rivulets, mainly contribute to the water flow into reservoir and Ravi River during rainy season. Otherwise, throughout the year, these are mainly dry. So this is one of the aspect that affect its optimal operations, because during rainy seasons reservoir got full and there is flooding, but during dry seasons there is less water for production of electricity and for irrigation purposes also. And also these rivers contribute sediment load into the reservoir also. This is the geology of the region. Geologically, the downstream is mainly having the fluvial deposits, fluvial or glacial deposits, and this region in the vicinity of the dam is mainly covered by young shivalik groups with sedimentary type of rocks. And seismically this region is very active. Many studies point towards that. This region where dam is constructed, it is a region of a regional anticline known as, I will be discussing in next slides in chapter 6, and that is a Surui-Mastgarh anticline. So there are a number of factors that make these regions tectonically very active. So geology plays a very important role in stability, structural stability, and water quality of the region also. These are the soil glosses. These coarse loamy soils and these fine loamy soils are found here. Actually, if upstream regions, soil of upstream regions are severely eroded due to hilly terrain and excess flow rate of the water during the rainfall. And as we go downwards, these soils are, as I earlier said, are somewhat fertile comparatively, these soils. So these support agriculture and farming activities here. So these are less eroded also, downstream soils. This is how land is under different uses. Actually, it represents a mix of agriculture and forest land with some patches of built up area in this downstream region that can be a cause of worry in future. If it continue to expand like that, it's gone affecting the agriculture and the environment degradation also, and can lead to various pollutants into the soil and water in the region. So here also we are seeing some built up area. Here we are having some patches of this sand mining or quarrying in the Ravi River floodplain. This actually led to river ponding, and here we have a wildlife sanctuary very in its close proximity. Here we are having this quarrying activity, and this will also affect its wildlife and vegetation in this region. So all these things, if we have to make this region sustainably more developed, we have to focus on these things also. And agricultural land represents about 43.34% of the whole region. The total area is about 1360.57 square kilometers. So it shows, it depicts that how the communities here are mainly, depend on agriculture sector also. This is the last map of the chapter. This vegetation. In upstream, we are having mainly pine forests in this region. We also applied this photograph showing the pine canopy of this pine forest near this study village Mahanpur. And in downstream, we have dry mixed deciduous forests, and for riparian vegetation also, riparian is along the banks of the river, and the whole downstream region is non-forest area. So this is how there are variations of physical resource in upstream and downstream region. These chapters 3, 4 and 5 are based on the primary survey conducted. This is general information of respondents. From upstream we have 321 household, sampled household, and it is 207 for downstream region. This is the educational status of respondents. In the downstream region, we have more of illiterate, primary, having primary, who have attained primary level of education, 42%, and illiterates are also more in downstream region, and it is only 10% for upstream region. And in upstream region, we are having more people who have attained the secondary level of education. These are some pictures clicked during the survey process. This is the occupational profile. As I earlier said, the downstream region, its resources support the farming more. So we can also see here. For upstream, we are less number of people who are engaged in farming activities, and here it is 33%. And upstream region has more number of people who are engaged, who have got dam related jobs actually. 38%. Here also people are having employment in through Ranjit Sagar Dam, but here these farming people who are engaging in farming sector is also more. To compare the means of this income, monthly income of these two groups, we applied this t-test. And we found it significant at 5% with p-value of 0.047, which shows that their mean actually significantly differ. So there is slight difference in the income. Downstream residents are having slightly less income, monthly income, than the upstream residents, which somehow can impact their lifestyle choices also. These are the survey responses highlighted here using divergent bar graphs. And to check the association that we ran this chi-square test, and it is significant at 1% level. This is shown for the improved roads. There are perceptions regarding improvement in roads during the operational phase of the this Ranjit Sagar Dam. So mainly downstream communities agree for the improvements of road infrastructure, but comparatively upstream communities are having less level of agreement for any improvement in road infrastructure after the construction of this Ranjit Sagar Dam. These are some of the main major findings of these chapters 3, 4 and 5, that Positive and negative impacts of large dam on livelihood, infrastructure and community vary with the three factors, that is demographic groups, then across space and across time. The acceptance or satisfaction level about a dam is significantly influenced by a person employment, occupation, and then more of the dam employees perceive dam impacts very positively, and farmer is the community which perceive dams impacts negatively. Some of the major issues people highlighted during the survey is the bad water quality downstream, then no free access to sand mining and fishing in the region, and one of the major positive impact highlighted by downstream is the improved road network after the construction of dam. In the coming slides, I will be discussing these findings regarding Chapter 6, potential dam failures and dam safety measures. On the basis of analysis done regarding the previous dam failures in India, we have these lessons. We have drawn these key inferences that Ranjit Sagar Dam is an earthen cum rock-filled dam with impervious core. So potential risk of overtopping due to flooding. In case of, if ever there is a case of failure on the previous lessons learned, Ranjit Sagar Dam may be a high risk potential location which where breach may be initiated. Its body. And lastly, some quality issues in Ranjit Sagar Dam structure or components may be a potential cause of failure. As when we did this analysis of 50 dam failure in India, most of these earthen cum rock-filled dams are having breached due to overtopping, due to flooding, and sometimes there were issues like insufficient spillway capacity also. So next, these are the hydrological details. Here two maps are shown. This is watershed of the Ranjit Sagar Dam, where we are having these Chamera Dam, then Ranjit Sagar Dam, then Shahpur Kandi Dam, recently built last year, and here we, as I earlier discussed, here we are having the Madhopur barrage. So in this region, this Ranjit Sagar Dam is the biggest water structure built, but main inflow comes from this Chamera Dam whenever there is excess rainfall in its catchment of Ravi River. This Chamera Dam, when release water, it takes about 3 to 4 hours to reach here. And as I earlier discussed in drainage map, that all the local rivers also get flooded during that time, and these release their water in the reservoir. So in previous monsoon we saw that despite having these 3 dams in the region, we didn't control, or we can say we didn't manage it well, so that the water inflow can be controlled sustainably, and it resulted in various kind of socio-economic losses to communities residing in this region. So these are some potential risks that can be there, like seasonal variability in inflow trends, which make it difficult for dam authorities to continue hydropower production in the same manner throughout the year, and this also from secondary data, analysis of secondary data, we found that there are growing risk of glacial lake outburst floods in Ravi River basin that can also be a cause of concern. These are some geotectonic risks identified in the region. This region is having some local folds and faults here. This is a thrust, Kishanpur Mandli, this KMT, Kishanpur Mandli thrust, all these are surface expression of long faults and folds under the throughout the Himalayan range here. And also this region presents a seismic gap. Like this region has not witnessed a major earthquake event for 200 years actually. So the many studies like this Sharma and Chaudhary pointed that this region is can in near future can witness a mega seismic event. This is identified as a new fault, Goran fault, which runs between river Beas and river Basantar in Samba district of J&K. Through this study and various other characteristics, they highlighted that this region here is tectonically, uplifting and is very active terrain here. And this fault actually crosses these two study region villages, Basantapur and Kot, that we selected for our survey also. And this lies in close vicinity of Ranjit Sagar Dam, and here we are having the Shahpur Kandi Dam. So in case of this should be considered for future studies also. If we need to be prepared for any such mega seismic events and to safeguard these dams. This map is showing the location in the seismic zones of this dam, and it lies in the seismic zone 4th. So, and there are some other related, aspects like landsliding, rock sliding in the region that comes along with this seismicity in the region, and it impacts the daily lives of communities residing here. And we also, one study pointed out that this region of Ranjit Sagar Dam is having alluvium soil beneath its foundation that can cause liquefaction. Liquefaction is the thing. Whenever there is an earthquake, that soil becomes loose, and dam loses its strength, its structural strength. That these are some potential risks that we have identified in our study that need to be focused if we have to make these dams more sustainable. This section is showing the perceptions of community regarding the dam safety issues and how adequate these dam safety measures are. This slide shows the survey responses. Comparing upstream and downstream, we are having a almost similar kind of survey response regarding the dam safety issues. Again, we ran the chi-square test to check the association between demographic groups and their adequacy of these safety measures. Again, it is significantly, influenced by the occupation and age. Some of the dam employees, agree that these dam safety measures are sufficient. Maybe they deal with the operations of dams or so, but farmers are the main community that pointed out that the dam safety measures are not, up to the mark, and their land their agricultural land get flooded during the monsoons or etc. These were some of the points that raised during the survey. Key findings of this chapter. Opinion regarding adequacy are significantly shaped by occupational groups. Majority of respondents disagree regarding, except few dam employees and people having age above 50 years. And the presence of Goran fault in close proximity of dam site, high seismicity, seasonal fluctuations of water inflow to reservoir are some of the factors that can make the dam more vulnerable to failure risks. Here we have compared these major impacts identified. For both the reasons, dam employees are the one who seem more satisfied with the positive impacts of dams during both phases. Negative impact on roads and water facility during operational phase was highlighted by the upstream community, and positive impact on road network was highlighted by the downstream region during the operational phase. Then under the theme community, burden on resources and related conflicts during this was the negative impact highlighted by upstream during constructional phase, but in downstream region, again burden on resources and related conflicts was highlighted, but according to them it was more during the operational phase. Then dam safety measures. In both the regions, here all the occupations perceive this as inadequate, except some of the dam employees. But here mostly farmers perceived dam safety measures inadequate. Then income is high in case of upstream region and monthly income is low. Then education level also, here we are having less percentage of illiterates, but there are more illiterates in downstream regions. And by employment wise also, upstream people are having to give some probable causes on basis of geophysical background of the region, that this bad water quality may be due to severe erosion and steep slope in the whole upstream region that leads to more sediments into the reservoirs and pollutants that affect the and reduce water flow downstream that can affect the water quality in downstream region. This poor, as highlighted during the survey, poor road network this may also be due to steep slopes, high seismicity, and young shivalik rocks that leads to increased landsliding in the region. These inadequate dam safety measures are related to fluctuations in wet and dry seasons and active tectonic of the region. And there is no access to resources. It is as highlighted by the community that after the construction of Shahpur Dam, they have no access to any kind of river source, whether it is mining or sand or fish. Based on that, we put forward these mitigation measures that need to be done to address the issue of water quality, then to bridge the gaps of educational disparities, to bridge these income gaps, and to address the impacts of livelihood and community, and to address these hydrogeotectonic risks. So, in summary of conclusion, I would like to say that these socioeconomic dynamics and geophysical background of dams watershed are not mutually exclusive. There is an interplay of factors between these two. So this whole dynamics, if we consider a watershed of dam or single system, and this whole dynamics vary with space, time, and demographic factors. Our study tried to present a new framework that integrates all these factors in a single framework, as shown in the next slide. We have presented this integrated framework for socioeconomic impacts to analyze these impacts. That if we consider these impacts as center, then these vary in relation to space, time, and demographic factors, and they are going to be impacted by the physical resource base and the dam failure risks to any dam. So this framework can be served as a model for other such dams with the similar kind of geophysical background or other such dams in general also. So we underscored that the social sustainability of large dam should be integrated with the geophysically sustainability of its watershed. So these were some of the limitations of our study. We primarily conducted our sample household focusing the communities only. We did not cover any dam engineers, NGOs and other like gender-based study we didn't focus, and we selected villages only in the near vicinity of the dam, whereas these impacts can further can be studied if we go more downward and upstream in the region, this watershed of the dam. Then we didn't incorporate any kind of model technique for these identifying these hydrological and geophysical risks, and also did not went that deep, focusing the climatic change aspects in our study. So these were some of the limitations. And also we didn't delve deep into the effectiveness or challenges that are associated with community involvement, like their education and how aware they are about these impacts. These are some challenges that can be there while we are implementing some policies. We also didn't cover in our study. Future scope of the research is, if this study exemplifies and demonstrates the potential for broader research for examining socioeconomic impacts of other large systems, our framework would facilitate a clearer and deeper understanding of these impacts if we consider watershed as a basic unit for our investigation. Then in future, comparative analysis of two nearby watershed can be done to have better understanding of these dynamics. Then conducting more frequent and detailed analysis of water quality can also be done in future. Then more exploring cutting edge technologies. We have just used some sort of these spatial mapping techniques. We didn't do that much in the area. And moreover, sedimentation trends and the soil erosion scenario can be studied. Moreover, we didn't cover this land use, land cover change analysis. That can also be helpful. How the land use is changing in the watershed. We also didn't cover that. And a more closing look at the community engagement in risk management of dam failures. That can also be one aspect where we can do these future studies also. And after we just gave a sort of blind spots, that here we can like have this fold, we are having this fault here, and we didn't adopted any multi hazard susceptibility assessment model that can be used in future studies. These are the references, some of the references we used in our study. This is the ATR I have attached here. These are the certificates, various conferences. These are the research papers. Some are submitted with journals, and one of the paper is accepted, published also. This is the paper. That is all from my side.
Okay, respected member of the doctoral committee and esteemed external examiner, Professor Ravindra Scholar Ms. Nidhi Jasrotia just have successfully completed her presentation of her research work. I now respectfully invite ma'am to kindly offer her observation and insight and expert evaluation.
Nidhi, it was a very well-structured presentation,
Thank you, ma'am.
and it is a very pithy research work you've conducted. Nevertheless, there are certain queries which I would like you to respond. Nidhi, could you justify the choice of the theme of your doctoral thesis?
Yes, ma'am. As I discussed throughout the presentation, that this socioeconomic dynamics is very, very essential to be analyzed, and you know, it is not possible to cover a single aspect only. So yes, I think it is justified title of this study.
Okay. If I ask you to list the improvements you would like to carry out in your thesis, what would they be?
Throughout the thesis, I would done applying some more kind of test, like I applied chi-square first. I will do this literature. I would like to do it again. Actually, frankly speaking, when I started it, I was not knowing how to, but I learned a lot. Even then, I know there are still many limitations regarding this literature view. I was not knowing that it should actually be done chronologically. It should be done. And moreover, I have wasted a lot of time on doing it. But now I know how to do it in manageable time. So that is one thing I would also like to do. Apart from that, these chapters that are there regarding the chi-square, these tables are actually, I personally feel there are a large number of tables. So I would, if I get the opportunity, or some technique that I can reduce these tables, I would like to do that.
Okay. And one thing I would suggest is, if at any point of time after your doctoral thesis is there, and then when you publish your papers in various journals, you should also learn the art of precise writing.
Okay.
Because in many of your chapters, I found that there was a need of precision and structuring.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, and so that the report becomes crisp to read. Many of the chapters are, very, very lengthy.
Nandi.
And one could have structured them much better.
Much better. Okay.
Right? Now, what are the major key takeaways of your doctoral research?
I should speak in regarding significance or in general, like
Major key takeaways for policy formulation, for instance.
Okay. Like there is some sort of regional disparities throughout the watershed, as there is bad water quality downstream. That could be, if in future we are constructing more dams as approved by the government. In future we can actually highlight that point, that communities should not suffer from that kind of no access to clean drinking water. Then apart from it, this presence of these folds and faults and geotectonic risks in the region, they should be covered under these policy implications. Then regarding community, as more dam employees are accepting these dams positively, so we should try to make these dams more acceptable to other groups also. So these are the...
Okay, there are some questions from the other examiner. Let me ask them. He's trying to ask, what are the most significant differences you observe between upstream and downstream socio-economic impacts, and what factors explain these variations?
Factors like we have a different physiography and topography in the upstream region, and there is different soil and vegetation kind that some kind impact the socio-economic of the communities. Moreover,
what made you think that the analysis should be taken for the upstream and the downstream? How did you come to this, that you should be choosing, upstream and downstream for the entire analysis? What made you think?
I studied various frameworks related to these analyzing these dam impacts. Then I came across that matrix framework that just clicked to me. It was like a unifying framework that has unified all the previous frameworks that actually covered that matrix framework, which previously applied frameworks to study this. And moreover, it was the first of its kind that was specifically made for analyzing these impacts of dam. So in that framework, I got to know that this dimension can be chosen for study, this upstream and downstream dimension. So from that matrix framework of Kitcher and Charles.
You see, you took two states, for your analysis. You had Jammu and Kashmir, some sampled villages from Jammu and Kashmir, and some of them from Punjab. Did it never occur to you that you should carry out a comparison between the two states?
Yes,
you had the data, you would have done it, and that would have justified, the spatial approach of area differentiation.
Yes, you are right, ma'am. I'll actually be doing now in my paper.
Yes, such a suggestion,
Yes, ma'am.
I always tell my research students, research begins from today. It does not end today.
Yes, ma'am.
So you can have, this in mind when you analyze in future. The other examiner also wants you to do a land use, land cover change, which you have already mentioned as one of the
limitations.
I think if you do that, it's going to supplement with many of your research findings.
Of course, ma'am.
Yeah. And then he says, what evidence suggested that downstream areas are more adversely affected compared to the upstream?
I can't say it is more like prediction. I can only say on the basis of association.
And I think it did come in some of your explanations. But the perceptions of the people are also like that, no?
That is I'm going to explain. Like downstream, almost all the occupational groups, whether it is dam employee, whether it is farmer, whether it is from government sector, they highlighted the that themes negatively. So on that basis.
I was also thinking that if further when you take up this research, and if you think of getting applying for a postdoc sometimes, you might always also think including the dam ousties.
Right.
And they will have a different, altogether different narrative and a change.
That is also our one limitation.
Yes. That's the major. That's the major limitation, because when you are trying to see the socio-economic impact of dam, So if you have to see the socio-economic impacts of the dam, it has to be displacement reduced.
I actually skipped that idea because there was one of the study. I think it is done under your supervision. And
So if you were to compare, we did it with the dam displacement.
Yes, ma'am.
So you could have in your sample you could have taken up some
Actually,
dam houses also.
actually we have many sample households that are houses also.
What I am trying to tell you, but if you had there, you could have brought out that thing.
That I have
analysis.
They are actually there.
Obviously, if they are sitting,
Yes,
if they are there, you must have come across them.
Yes.
And you could have, taken up their data and analyzed it separately.
Most of the dam employees, they are dam houses actually. That I shown here. The people who are who got this dam employment, they are actually the dam houses.
All of them did not.
All of them
did not get. I know this. I know the entire story so well.
Yes.
All of them did not get it, and many of those houses
Still there are about 700
without any settlement. Yes, I know that.
700.
So if you had data, you could also see how are the houses benefited.
Actually,
from
reason for skipping that was only the thesis were also there, and that is also extensive study actually done.
Yes, I know. My student worked on it.
Yes.
And she did a wonderful job also. So I close the discussion here. And Nidhi has done a good job.
Thank
and
you.
she has a future agenda also. In future also, she'll be conducting some studies and giving you some pointers to keep in mind for your future studies.
Of course, ma'am. I'll
And now I shall very gladly prefix that word which always people like to hear. And we have now Dr. Nidhi Jasrotia. God bless you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your comprehensive scholarly.
Congratulations, Nidhi. Good job.
Thank you, ma'am.
For the thesis and presentation of Dr. Nidhi Jasrotia.